I survived a shell. Not near one. One literally tore through the cabin I was sleeping in. Burns, shrapnel, singed fur, whiskers gone. The medical staff did not think I would last the night. Yet, I lasted more than 100 days trapped on that river. And after everything I survived, the peace still found a way to finish what the war started. This actually happened. It began in a Hong Kong dockyard, 1948. I was a thin, hungry stray until a 17-year-old sailor named George Hickenbottom smuggled me aboard the frigate HMS Amethyst inside his uniform. I didn't ask to join the Royal Navy, but the ship suited me. Narrow corridors, dark lower decks, and rats who thought they owned the place. They did not. I handled that. By 1949, our new captain, Lieutenant Commander Bernard Skinner, liked me immediately. I respected that. I didn't know he was already running out of time. That April, HMS Amethyst was ordered up the Yangtze River toward Nanjing to replace another British ship. But China was in the violent final throes of its civil war. The communists controlled the northern bank. The nationalists held the south. The Yangtze ran right between them. On April 20th, the guns opened up from the shore. Artillery slammed into our steel hull. The Amethyst was a frigate trapped on a narrow river with nowhere to hide. One of the first shells hit the captain's cabin, where I was sleeping. I don't remember the impact. I just remember the smell of hot paint and burnt fur. I crawled out through the smoke on my own. Shrapnel was embedded in 4 places. My face was heavily damaged. The crew wrapped my wounds, expecting me to die by morning. Captain Skinner didn't even make it that long. He died from his wounds within hours. 22 of my shipmates were killed that day, and the ship was completely crippled. The Chinese forces wouldn't let the Amethyst leave. Negotiations stalled, and days bled into months. Wounded and watched, low on supplies, we were held captive by the river for 101 agonizing days. I recovered slowly. Our new commander, John Kerrans, wasn't sentimental. Less warmth, less fuss. That was fine. I didn't need affection. I had work to do. A trapped ship becomes its own kind of battlefield. The air was stale, the heat pressed down, and with the crew exhausted, the rats mutated into a massive problem. They moved through our dwindling food stores like they'd been promoted. One giant rat was especially bold. The crew named him Mao Tse-tung. I found him. I won't describe it, but I won. The sailors noticed. They watched me moving through the lower decks again, a small, scarred reminder that something was still alive and refusing to give up. Humans mistake cats for indifferent because we don't perform concern the way they expect. But we notice. We know who has stopped sleeping, who smells afraid, who needs a warm body nearby and will never ask. Back in Britain, the public fell in love with our story. Thousands of letters arrived for me. I literally had an officer assigned as my personal secretary during an active military standoff. Then, on the pitch-black night of July 30th, Commander Kerrans decided we were done waiting. HMS Amethyst cut every light. We slipped our anchor and tried to vanish down the river. The shore batteries opened fire again. Shells exploded around us, but the ship pushed forward through the dark and the gunfire. 1 mile, then another, until finally, we hit open water. We had escaped. When we made it back to Britain, the welcome at Plymouth was enormous. They gave me the Dickin Medal, the Animal Victoria Cross. I am still the only cat in history to receive it. They even gave me an official military rank, Able Sea Cat Simon. The official Navy citation explicitly mentioned my work improving morale and disposing of the rat named after Mao Tse-tung. Navy language has a way of making even bloody revenge sound tidy. But coming home was not the same as being free. Animals entering Britain had to go into a strict quarantine facility in Surrey. The crew couldn't come with me. The men I had sat beside in the dark couldn't follow. And in that isolation, I got sick. A virus took hold. The blast wounds from April had never truly healed on the inside. A body can survive a terrible thing and still pay the price long after everyone else starts calling it a miracle. I died on November 28, 1949, 2 months after coming home. Hundreds of people attended my funeral, including the entire crew of the HMS Amethyst. The men who had watched me crawl back from the edge came to bury a cat who had once been just a starving stray in a Hong Kong dockyard. My gravestone reads, "His behavior was of the highest order, not dramatic, not sentimental, just precise, restrained Navy language, the highest order. I think that is enough. I was a ship's cat. I hunted what needed hunting. I stayed where I was needed. And when the men were trapped between war and water, I was there. I am remembered for the lives I helped save. Some cats are remembered for the lives they sat beside at the very end. There was a cat in Rhode Island named Oscar. He never fought, never traveled to space. He just sat beside certain patients, and every time he did, they died. That story is next. Subscribe, unless you're afraid of what Oscar knew.